This is Geek Gab with your host, Dornall, and me, Daddy Warpig. We are back. Geek Gab for Saturday, December 5th, 2020. Dornall.
Yo.
You may not have heard this, but absolutely the most 2020 thing happened this week.
I can't even fathom. This year is one surprise after the other. Tell me, what happened this week?
In the country of Namibia, Adolf Hitler has returned to power.
Adolf Hitler in Namibia. That's a fortuitous name.
So someone guessed on Twitter early this year, around March, that the only way they could end the last month of 2020, the last episode of 2020, was for Adolf Hitler to return to power. And guess what, folks? He's back, and he's black.
So Namibia is an African nation, has Adolf Hitler in power. Is he the Supreme Chancellor of Namibia? Did he go all the way yet?
Apparently, the writers for 2020 were not content with returning Adolf Hitler to power as a gimmick for this season. They also wanted to, as has been the case in Hollywood recently, they wanted to race swap the character. So race swapped Adolf Hitler is now in charge of the country of Namibia.
Well, this time it worked because he won 85% of the vote.
So
how? Were his parents like, yeah, what a great name. What a famous man. Let's name our son after this famous man.
Apparently, and these are just, things I read on Twitter, so take them with a grain of salt, please, because I did not do any independent fact checking, because once I heard Adolf Hitler was back, I just threw up my hands and said, well, that's 2020, I guess. I kind of shrugged and went back to doing something that didn't involve me pummeling my head with facts like Adolf Hitler was bad.
Stay off of Twitter, folks. You'll start seeing crazy things like Adolf Hitler returning as an African politician.
By the way, this is real. I'm not making any of this up. This is a real news story. There is really a person called Adolf Hitler who is now in charge of Namibia. Apparently, during World War II, a lot of African nations got really excited about Adolf Hitler because they knew nothing about him except that he was giving the British problems, and so they were, thrilled about it. So
yeah.
They named kids Adolf Hitler in triumphant celebration that the British were getting a kicking. And also, some few African nations had been colonized by the Germans, and so we're having, they were partly culture, influenced by German culture, and so they also kind of picked up on the name as a celebration of German culture.
I'm going to take partial credit for this one because in Combat Frame XSeed, I predicted that the Germans would launch a successful attempt to reestablish a German empire from Africa. and I did it 15 years ago. So you're welcome.
Yeah.
So that's your 2020 update for the week, folks.
So I think the chat's actually onto something here. Adolf Hitler implying he wasn't black. Yeah.
I mean, there are some other crazy things that happened this week, but that one wiped them all out of my mind. I mean,
no, you can't top that.
You can't top that.
That's a palate cleanser. That's a nightcap. It's going to take a bunch of NyQuil, enough to sleep through the rest of the year.
Wow, it makes you wonder. Like we're probably in for another couple surprises before the end of the year. It's sweeps week, folks. The 2020 season of America is wild.
Just tape the Super Bowl for me. Oh wait, never mind.
Wow,
I can sleep in.
So are we actually going to have a 2021, or is the world going to end?
Worse, we're just going to have 2020 season 2.
Oh.
Well, you got to remember that I was thinking of this last night. 2020 started about a month before 2020 started. There was a huge event, and now I can't remember what it was. Oh. There was a big, strange thing that happened right at the end of 2019 that was basically the start of 2020, and I want to say the Democratic primary.
That did happen at the end of 2019, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's what you're thinking of.
It was just nuts, and all the people in it were nuts. And the guy who got 6th place turned out to win.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, politics has been crazy for at least 5 years now, so they're all nuts. Ardenon has reminded us Mad Max was set in 2021, so this is going to be great, guys.
Yeah, everybody, go ahead.
I'm seriously hoping 2021 goes back to some semblance of normality because I'm not sure,
I don't know. The work from home pandemic had me enjoying summer on the beach every day from my apartment instead of going to the office every day. So I've had enough of normal. Screw that. I want nonstop chaos until it all falls apart. That may not be true. Anyway, I regret to inform you that our other guest looks like he wasn't able to make it. We titled the show's Card Game Design SOCCon, and Brian Niemeier, our favorite third host and sci-fi author, came on to talk to us all about that. We were going to have the game designer Cardanon on. He couldn't make it. He's actually busy doing things for the government for which he would have to kill us if he told us on stream. Brian Niemeier, how about you? How are you doing today?
Well, pretty unable to follow that introduction, which is true, by the way. So yeah, the exciting guy couldn't be here because he's doing exciting stuff. So he stuck with me, the one who also knows nothing about game design. So you're stuck in here with me.
Oh no, that's okay. We love talking about game design here, but you asked to come on to talk about SOCCon, and I'll let you describe it because this Daddy Warpig, we've talked about this before. I don't know if I mentioned it on the show, but the week before Thanksgiving, I went to Kentucky for some reason and hung out with some guys for a weekend, and it was great.
Wait, so do you know why it happened? Because I'm still trying to put that together. It's kind of a standalone complex.
I was there when it was proposed, and it was a confluence of events where we had been speaking on Discord, meaning you, me, and some of the other XSeed fans, as well as the game designer, have been doing sort of online playtesting, thought experiments, and so on and so forth. And we sort of kept arriving at this, we really need to play a few games in person, right? Or online or something like that, like because we had multiple groups sort of approaching the game from different ways. And the game designer was like, hey, I'm going to be in this area at this time. You guys should come out and we'll get together and play. And he caught me at a vulnerable moment, because I was like, yeah, all right, if there's an airport nearby, I will fly all the way from Washington State to do that. That's how I remember it happening. What do you remember?
Yeah, I just remember talk of in-person playtesting, and then one thing leading to another, each step seemingly an end in itself, but each leading inevitably to the next. And then there were T-shirts, and yeah, we were in Kentucky.
Yeah, it got wild. It got wild. Do you want to say a little bit more about what it was and what was your goal for it? What were you thinking about it?
My goal was that people who were interested in my IP asked me to be there. So I suppose I was kind of the guest of honor at this emergent phenomenon con. Because all I really did was like kind of sit around and like greet people like a retiree at Walmart and eat White Castle. So that's a win.
Yeah, we prioritized the White Castle. That was stop number 1.
And the ice cream.
Oh yeah.
You want to tell them about the ice cream?
Daddy Warpig, are you familiar with stereotypes of the Midwest?
Maybe. Some of them.
Well, I'll give you one. They're fat. Okay. Like they
fry everything.
They do okay, and then like male or female, as soon as they get in their 30s, they just balloon up. Okay. I discovered why. It is a mecca of fast food there. I mean, I can go down the road and I can get all sorts of different types of fast foods, but they've got their custom homegrown, they've got bespoke Wisconsin family burger joints all over. It's Culver's. Holy cow. This place is amazing.
Oh, how your eyes lit up in the car when you found out they had Pepsi.
Oh,
Like childlike wonder.
I've got problems. Yeah, I mean, this is a Culver's in particular is owned by a Wisconsin family, right? Do they? They're not publicly owned, because if they were, I would buy it.
I think it's still private.
So yeah, it was really, really weird. Because from my perspective, go ahead.
Do you mean Pepsi ice cream or just Pepsi?
Just Pepsi.
Yeah, they're privately owned.
Wow.
So there you go.
Isn't Washington State occupied territory now? Yeah, sure. I mean, depends on how you want to look at it. Now, Washington State is a great place. The government of Washington State is a little iffy, and the governor himself is a petty tyrant. But that's kind of typical for 2020, isn't it? Yeah, it's no more politics for today. Culver's is outstanding. I was thinking, oh yeah, we're gonna hang out in an Airbnb and play test. I should go to the grocery store and shop for food so that we have food for a couple of days. Nope, there's more than enough local delicacies to try out. It's outstanding.
Did you try a deep fried Twinkie?
I skipped the deep fried Twinkie.
It's probably the best.
I have limits, man. I've got limits. I don't even like French fries all that much.
I mean, I've never had a deep fried anything.
I mean, you've had fried chicken though, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Not anymore though, but
well, very well, very well. So we're totally distracted by food. I was obsessed the whole weekend. Yeah, so from my perspective, I
blame the Traveler campaign.
We played Traveler last night, and my brain is completely melted.
Well, to be fair, that's kind of how the weekend went. Was all right. Let's go to Kentucky and test this card game, and then we just ended up eating a lot of like fast food and Poggy. So
I rolled my eyes into the back of my head when I saw the package of Pocky. I'm like, of course you did.
Catholic Lancer brought that.
Yeah. Well, let's take a step back because this is the first time we've actually talked about the Combat Frame XSeed tie-in card game on stream. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and how that came about?
Yes. Also, I have hopefully placed a link to my blog post about the game in the StreamYard chat.
Oh, let me get that on let me get that on the description as soon as possible. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. The game is called Combat Frame XSeed Pocket War. It's a card game system that was developed originally by Catholic Lancer, which is why he was going to be here. And he approached me and asked if he could use my Combat Frame XSeed IP to brand it, because it was this kind of military war themed, vaguely sci-fi themed rule set. Because you've got units, you've got orders, you've got supplies. You can patrol, you can raid, you can melee attack, you can ranged attack. It's quite extensive while being simple, in my layman's opinion. And so like, yeah, sure, why not? And honestly, I wasn't sure if anything would really come of it, but I figured let's let him do his thing. Let's see what he can come up with. And then it's just attracted.
It's been a big hit. Yeah. It's been a big hit with your personal local play group, like people who are already familiar with the XSeed story.
Yeah, my brain's kind of fried too, but I because I was gaming last night pretty late, but it's not that it's attracted a breadth of popularity yet, but it's attracted some fanatics, man. Like the cardboard crack crew. Like we've got 2 Magic the Gathering champions and like a Yu-Gi-Oh champion working on this thing, who just have immediately taken to it and been like suggesting rules changes and cards. And oh my gosh, I got to give a shout out to one of the MVPs of the group. You know who you are if you're listening to this. The guy who did all the layouts for all the cards, like in the 2 weeks leading up to the con. Because before we were just like, I made some simple mock-ups, just black and white, simple text box, and he made them look professional, designed custom icons, backgrounds, After Effects, the works.
Yeah, it really, it's like you said, one step led to another, and I had my paper printouts that I was the prototypes I was playing with, and it just turned into, yeah, well, I made these beautiful layout of the cards, and it's like, wow, that's an incredible amount of work, and it's beautiful. And then I show up, and Catholic Lancer picks me up at the airport, and he's like, "Here's your shirt. Here's your T-shirt for the con." I'm like, "What?"
You should do. Yeah.
I was like, I was just showing up to meet Brian Niemeier and play card games with you guys. I didn't.
Yeah, we just have an embarrassment of our talent on this because Catholic Lancer himself is an accomplished artist, and then of course we have the redoubtable Ardenon in chat. Most of the cards are graced with his excellent Combat Frame concept art that our other buddy then took and enhanced. So they,
in some cases, zoomed and enhanced.
Yeah, it's like CSI up in there. Yeah, the 2 of them are working together beautifully without even knowing it at first. I think they know now.
Yeah,
they didn't at first.
Yeah, if Catholic Lancer didn't know that he had an assistant layout and card designer, he does now.
And that's kind of this thing when it just snowballed.
Very, very fascinating. And this mutual friend of ours, the guy who did all that work on the layout, it's his fault. It's 100% his fault. I remember over the summer, I hadn't looked at the prototype cards in months, and like he just said something in the Discord channel, and I was like, huh, all right, I'll bring out the prototypes, see what he's talking about. Did a couple of test games against myself. 3 weeks later, I'm sitting there, typing away in the Discord, realizing that I just spent something like 4 hours a day for the past 3 weeks playtesting this game, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Something's happening here. Very strange. Very cool.
Yeah, that's what's really cool is that pretty much everyone who's tried this game has come away saying, you know what, this has legs. You've got a game here.
Yeah, Catholic Lancer's really got something going on here, and I'll share a secret. I don't think he'll mind. He is a amateur game designer at heart. He was showing me his sketchbook with the prototypes of, oh, here's another type of game I was looking at. Here's another type of game I was thinking of doing. The guy's always got that stuff coming out of his head. I don't want to heap too much expectation on him, but I think we're going to see great things coming out of him. And I hope it starts with Combat Frame XSeed because, like you said, there's a game there. It's early. It's really like it needs a lot of work and a lot of refinement, but it's fun. What can I say? It's fun.
Well, what you can do is you can walk our listeners through the game briefly. I think you're the best disposed to do that.
Sure. The game is designed as a collectible card game or a living card game, which is to say there's a large set of cards and each player will construct or bring a pre-constructed deck to the game. Hey, John's right on time. John loves these games. And so it's sort of like Magic the Gathering in that sense. So there's a pool of cards. You're not going to play all the cards. You're not necessarily limited to certain cards, so on and so forth. And each deck is made up of your units, your military units, most of which are combat frames because it's been reskinned as a Combat Frame XSeed game. And other cards are orders, where you can manipulate the battlefield, sort of like spells in Magic the Gathering, if you're familiar with that. So it's got this. So there's a balance between the units that you use to control the battlefield, and then the cards that affect those units and the battlefield, right? And at the beginning of the game, you set up 6 bases that represent your physical holdings or logical holdings in the world, in the universe. And if you lose all of those bases, you're eliminated from the game. And so it's basically designed as a one-on-one protect my bases while I go after your bases game. And so the fun is in the details. The fun is in how the different units interact, the different orders change the state of the game. And so on your turn, you get to, you supply all of your units so that they can shoot, attack, whatever. And then you can and this is one of the interesting decisions in the game, which is, and I'm gonna actually editorialize here. This is the best and worst part of the game, which is you've got this really interesting decision. Do I use this resource to attack right now, or do I use this resource to draw more cards into my hand? And I say the best because that is a very interesting decision, and I say the worst because it has had other consequences on the game design where our hands are tied in a couple of different ways. But it's been a ton of fun. So anyway, enough of my opinions. So
thank you.
Each player has a deck, and you try to take out the other guy's bases by attacking them with your units, and that's it. You've got exciting cards like all the Combat Frame XSeeds from the first book are present. The infamous Dead Drop, if you're familiar with the story. All the units, all the mechs and the vehicles and things that you're familiar with are there in the game. And what can I say? It's fun. I'm not going to go any more detailed into the rules because it's such an early version of the game, and I'm just going to bore you to tears. Did I miss anything?
No, I think you covered all the bases. Well done.
I'm really excited for it. I hope that it comes to a. I hope it's successful as a game. No offense or anything meant to you, Brian, but as from my seat as a game designer and a game player, I hope it stands alone as a great game. Whatever it has to do with Combat Frame XSeed, that's sort of been my goal throughout playtesting, is to make sure that we don't come out with a crap game.
Well, that's always the goal, right? I mean, I wouldn't want my name on it if it was going to be subpar, right? So I'm completely with you on that goal.
Amen. So tell me more about. Do you have any more thoughts or anything about the con or the weekend or anything? Like, what stood out to you as what was a really good moment, or what was a really good thing you learned from the con?
Trying to think about things I can legally say. I'm serious. And no, it wasn't that kind of like wild stag party weekend. Again, it was mainly nerds playing cards in a basement. But getting to meet up with people in meet space, I only knew from their online avies and from streams. It seemed oddly normal. Like, I think the first thing I did when I got to the game shop was just walk right up to you as you were like explaining and pointing the game to someone, just like jumped right in and was like, "Oh, and don't forget about that." It's like over your shoulder. And then I remembered, oh wait, like I know what you look like. It's not reciprocal. So that took a second. But then we just got right into the swing of it. The
It was great.
It was a little surreal. I don't know if anyone else out there knows how this feels. JDA in chat might, to have a bunch of people gathered in one place, many of them from out of state, for the purpose of advancing something you co-created. It was a new experience. I'm still processing it.
It was great. Everybody seemed to have a good time.
Yeah,
and,
I'm super glad of that, because it could have been a huge disaster, but thank goodness it wasn't.
Yeah, flying cross country in 2020 to hang out with a bunch of nerds for a weekend. Yeah, that could have been a disaster, I guess.
Well, and then it was the weekend that Kentucky and Ohio both decided to renew COVID lockdowns. So we lost.
Yeah, that sort of put a rain cloud over the weekend. We made the best of it, though.
Yeah, Catholic Lanes especially had to relocate because the initial venue he had lined up just decided to close down. Period. That weekend. So yeah, Yeoman's working his part.
Yeah, the whole country. We should do everything online on Discord and Zoom, and us. We go, no, it's time to meet in person. Let's do this. I agree with you. It was surreal. It was the listeners of the show know that you have a very distinctive voice, so it's just you just hear you from across the room and be like, oh, Brian Niemeier's over there somewhere. I don't know what he looks like, but he's over there. Right.
Yeah, and apologies. It's a little strained right now because, again, I was GMing all night and thus talking all night.
Oh, no. Good problems to have, I guess. Were you playing Vampire last night?
Yes, I was.
Old school. Have you guys checked out the V5 yet?
No.
Don't bother.
Wasn't gonna, but thanks.
I do owe you guys a jihad tutorial. But that didn't pan out because the product wasn't available early enough. They supposedly released it on Halloween, and but the product wasn't shipped out until the week after, basically till after Thanksgiving. But anyway. So,
tangential question. Now that you bring that up, and I'm running out of time, since I've exhausted my card game knowledge, any idea? Do either of you have any idea what's up with Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2? I ask out of morbid, driving past a train wreck curiosity.
I haven't heard any news about that in a few months. What about UDW?
Just that everything's all messed up.
Yeah, we there hasn't been any news since I think the end of the summer when
Everyone quit.
Everyone quit. Yeah, I think that's I think the game's mothballed at this point. The Paradox did a great job releasing V5. I mean, roll your eyes at all the 2020 Euro left revisions to the game all you want. I mean, face it, White Wolf and the Vampire Product has always been that sort of eye-rolling counterculture IP, so there's no surprises there. But they rolled out V5. It may not be as popular as the old stuff, but they did it, and they've the fan group who put together a company to revive the card game successfully worked out a license, and all of the fan sets are now official, and they've re-released the card game, and they've even implemented the lore changes from V5. So they updated all the clan symbols, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. They updated the sects, and the Bruja are no longer in the Camarilla, they're Anarchs, and the storyline currently focuses on the Camarilla versus the Anarchs because the Sabbat naturally self-destructed. So the card game better reflects the V5 release, but I mean, I suppose we'll see in the next couple of years how the business goes, but it was a successful relaunch. It's a shame about the video game, but
well, we all know what's going to happen with the video game, right? It's going to attract its share of controversy. Like I expect another big bombshell, like sometime, probably not around Christmas, probably around the New Year, some new shakeup or something, and then it'll finally come out, and everyone who is initially dumping on it on YouTube is gonna buy it and play it.
Mhm.
And first they'll be like, "Oh well, it's okay, let's do some let's plays and here are the finer points," and then it'll totally be forgotten. It'll just sink beneath the waves and just be memory hold.
I wouldn't be surprised.
That's what always happens with this stuff. I mean, do you know anyone who's still playing Final Fantasy VII Remake?
No.
Yeah, the game that sold more copies than the original.
Really?
Yeah, it outsold the original. Now it's gone.
I'm sure there's some e-thought on Twitch playing it. That's about it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they screwed that up bad because I heard a whole bunch of people complaining about how they screwed that up bad.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Could you elaborate?
Do you remember what they screwed up?
Well, first off, it was only the first, fourth of the game.
Oh, that's right. They did it in multiple installments.
And they changed a bunch of stuff about it so that the game isn't even going to follow the same path as the original 7. I mean, how can you have a Final Fantasy VII remake that isn't Final Fantasy VII? The characters have different characterizations and things like that. And what they changed was for the worse. People seem to not really like it. So
that's a shame. And of course, Final Fantasy VII is famously that game that everybody remembers fondly, and then you play it and you say, "Yeah, this was a good game," but it really hasn't aged well at all.
Yeah.
We're fighting over vampire clans in the chat. Daddy Warpig, do you know them well enough? Do you have a favorite clan?
I don't know what didn't they slim down the clan list to like 5 core ones when they redid it?
Oh, in the Requiem rules, yes. And all the old clans became sort of bloodlines off of those clans.
I never saw that, so I never knew what they did with that. I owned a copy of the first edition Vampire, first printing. I I bought Vampire when it very first came out, so I'm trying to remember. What I liked was that they had the huge variety of them. They had, Count Orlok from
That's
the
right.
original movie.
Yeah.
They had clans of them that were like that. Bruja, Tremere. And I know I'm going to forget some of them.
No, JDA, we mentioned Requiem, but no, we're not. We don't talk Requiem here.
Yeah. Or read it. I've tried. I own it. I'm like, wait, there are 3 Draculas? Nah.
Yeah. Yeah, Vampire the Masquerade still is using the original clans. The V5 is a continuation of the old World of Darkness, so it incorporated all the lore, including the end of the world, and so that it's sort of a continuation of that. And we're just gonna forget Highlander 2 ever existed.
Yeah. I gotta give him credit for starting the franchise with a ticking clock. I'm like, okay, like the doomsday clock is at like 5 minutes to midnight. We're going to end this. They painted themselves into that corner and then went ahead and just upended the paint bucket and dumped it on themselves. And they followed through. And they're like, well, wait, there's still money to be made off this.
Yep. And cranky, I'm gonna be cranky about the card game again. That resulted in the second worst expansion to the card game because, of course, there had to be a tie-in.
Oh yeah,
I've been thinking about it, and I really like the Bruja.
okay.
It's fine clan, excellent clan.
Is that surprising?
Not if it's in their original capacity as like warrior poets and philosopher kings. Because they were originally like the scholarly clan before the Malkavians kind of filled the vacuum after the Bureau, just degenerated into like raucous punks pretty much.
Yeah, the over the top anarch punk thing is a little eye rolling. I like somewhere in between.
But what's DW's take? What is it you like about the Bruja clan?
I do like their in your face combat style. And I'm not talking about game mechanics. I'm just talking about like they're almost Highlanders.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and mechanics wise, they do have the single best discipline in the game as a clan discipline.
They're almost like, that one Tim Bradstreet drawing where the Bruja is jumping up on the table and he's got a black jacket on and he's got a shirt wrapped around him. And he's in Levi jeans and he's snarling and he's got the long black hair and he's got the claws out. I like the fact that they're in your face soldiers in combat, right? Or in your face warriors in combat. They're courageous, they're bold, but they're not idiots. And I realize that the tendency in role-playing games is to make anybody who's in your face be an idiot. But that's not what the Bruja were. They were just they fought hard, they partied hard, but they weren't fools. They weren't
That's a really good point. They did make it a point, for at least for the original clans, to say each clan has a flaw. It's a serious flaw that is going to affect your character mechanically in the game, but they're not idiots. The Brujah stereotype is there. They fly off the handle easily, but it's not, as you said.
Yeah, what's interesting about Vampire the Masquerade is that there's a wrong way to play each clan, and it's the same way, right? So, like, the Roid Head Brujah, the affectionately called Fishmalk, like the Bunny Ears Lawyer Malkavian, right? Just the Noblesse Malice Ventru, and it comes from turning like a clan weakness and personality trait into a caricature, and that's how you do it wrong.
How do you do it right?
The best single example of doing it right, specifically, the Malkavians are my favorite clan because they're the hardest to play right, or rather, they're the easiest to get wrong. Because for the benefit of the audience, every single Malkavian is insane, like incurably, irrepressibly insane. Okay. So obviously the temptation to do that wrong and just go, oh, I swim in the sand and build castles in the sea. I'm a quirky, right? You just do that is almost overpowering. To see an Malkavian done exactly right, play the original bloodlines and pay attention to the Vorman sisters. Because, man, that one even smacked me upside the head. Like, even though I figured out what was going on before I got out of Santa Monica, I was like, oh, I know what they're doing, and it's brilliant. And just the execution was so good that it didn't matter that I saw it coming.
I'm going to have to try it out. They say every time someone mentions Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, someone in the world is reinstalling it again. Yeah,
it's a great game. It's actually what got me back into the game after a hiatus of like 20 years. Because it shows insanity. Not I'm not going to say realistically because it's still fiction. It's a work of horror, but it shows the chilling personal horror of true but subtle madness. Because the insane character isn't the one you think.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't say anything else, but
I'll have to take your word for it. I still have to play it one day.
Yeah.
I want to say this, and I want to get your guys' reaction. To me, kind of the Brujah are the Highlanders in Braveheart.
They don't wear underwear?
No, they're bold warriors. They're brave warriors, but they're barbaric, and yet they talk ideas and philosophy and
yeah, that's a good picture to have for Brujah. Although my favorite Brujah was an idiot. That's Eddie Fiore from the Aaron Spelling show, Kindred the Embraced.
Oh, I used to love that show.
Brian Thompson's my hero.
Got tragically short.
Yeah. Like why did they kill off the best character on the show? I don't understand. Did you see that one, DW?
I think I saw the first episode.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, the pilot was really, really bad. After the pilot, they're like, yeah, we actually can't lean on C. Thomas Howell as our main character. He's horrible. Which is a horrible thing to say. He's a famous actor, but he was not good in the pilot.
Okay. Well, I think we're losing the audience here as much fun as
yeah.
Darkness is. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot, Brian.
Oh, I asked for it.
One of the things that makes Vampire the Masquerade and makes Jihad the card game so compelling is the deep, thought out years of lore and story and game behind it. Combat Frame XSeed is currently small, at least to its audience. What plans do you have to enrich that story, that setting, to add more stuff so that more people can look at that and say, I would really like to play a game in that universe, or write fan fiction in that universe, or something like that? Do you have any ideas or plans like that?
Well, what everybody has seen so far, just in the books and from the tidbits I've let slip online, is this gets said a lot. It is the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I've got a complete timeline covering basically from today, which reality keeps conforming with. I mean, you've got like Uncle Elon and Richard Branson and people like talking about forming private Mars colonies and stuff, like, oh, right on cue. And now Adolf Hitler in Namibia. But yeah, there's a ton. There's tons more material. So, as you know, John, in addition to the card game, there is a Combat Frame XSeed role-playing game, which I offered playtesting slots for during the previous Indiegogo campaign, and which I believe you've been participating in.
You believe correctly. I've been there once or twice.
They've been around the block a couple times.
It's what I was expecting to find was a stripped down, what's the word, simulation system to help you simulate the properties of the combat frames. I was expecting just nonstop skirmishes, but you are working on a fully functional science fiction role-playing game, which was a pleasant surprise.
I'm glad you were pleasantly surprised. And again, I've even shown you guys in the playtesting group everything I've got. Like, I've really showed you like the mech combat and construction rules, some of the character combat, like some of the advanced skills, and that's it. Yeah, I've got 2 or 3 books written for it. It's just they're going to need editing and revisions based on you guys' excellent suggestions from the play testing before they're fit to see the light of day. But yeah, so I've got no want of material.
That's great. That's great. I think the more of that gets refined and put out there, the more fertile ground you're going to have for more stories and games and tie-in games and such. Because I think if you just said giant robots fighting in space, I'd say, yeah, that's cool. That sounds like fun. I'd watch a half-hour show of that. But to have that fully realized world that you can expand on, you can make much more out of it. Something really, a long-lasting, valuable, a memorable IP.
Yeah. So, for example, another perk that I offered in the previous Indiegogo campaign was the illustrated Combat Frame tech guide with art from Ardenon, of course, but also the first XSeed series cover artist Todd Everhart. And I can't tell any backers who back to that tier watching now that those have been sent out. They are on the way. It's just with holidays and the fact that they're full color, they take forever to print. So my estimate is that you should be getting a nice surprise Christmas present. I got my author copy, and wow, good Lord, it really blew my expectations away.
Oh.
I honestly can't believe I made something like this because I did the cover myself.
Ooh, now I'm excited.
I got to thank a friend of the show, David Stewart, for coaching me in cover design. But yeah, so I mean, that expands the lore because as per reader request, I have added additional details. So it's not just the Combat Frame date entries from my blog compiled in one place. I went through, revised all the entries, added new details specifically on the backgrounds and the pilots. And there are 3 mechs in there that you will not find anywhere else. They're exclusive to that book. Also, I'm already thinking about what I'm going to do for the next campaign, which should be coming up soon. I was originally going to do it like now, but as JDA, who's an expert in these things, told me the holidays are a really poor time to do crowdfunders, especially right now with all the uncertainty going on. People tend to kind of tighten their pocketbooks, and they're not going to buy stuff that they're not going to get by Christmas anyway. So I'm going to hold that off until Q1 of next year. But one perk I'm thinking of adding is just a Combat Frame XSeed companion where I just lay all my cards on the table and like, okay, here's everything. Here's all the lore.
Oh, cool.
Series. Yeah.
There's some tidbits you've shared just with me and some of the other playtesters. They're like, oh yeah, that puts this scene or this character in a different light. That's cool. That would be a neat thing to see.
Cool. Yeah, glad you agree. If anyone else out there listening would like to see the secrets of Combat Frame XSeed laid bare in its own volume, probably featured as a perk for the next campaign, let me know.
So speaking of the next campaign, I know you're not going to set that up for a couple months, but you did reveal the cover, and I wanted to talk about that before we go.
Oh, sure.
You mind if I show that here on screen?
Oh, please do.
I appreciate everybody who's listening to this later. You're just going to have to go to the YouTube later and check it out. Combat Frame XSeed, is that how it's called?
Double S.
Double S. Double S. I love the new covers that you're using, the new layout for the S series, and there's a big bad Metatron right there, front and center. Looks beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah, that's the upgraded version too.
The upgraded version. Tell me more about the. I mean, I'm starting to become a cover nerd because it's so important. Tell me about this artist and what does it take to go from your earlier XSeed art, which is good, to this, which is mind blowing.
Oh well, thanks for the feedback. Yeah, just going out and looking for artists, asking around in the indie author scene. This artist is June Aries. He is available for commissions right now. If you would like to retain his services, just go to follow the link to that post, and I've got instructions for how to get a hold of him. He doesn't have his own website anymore because he got way too many triflers, unfortunately, who couldn't back up the request for a commission with actual action. So he's kind of by appointment only now. Previously, my cover artist was the excellent Todd Everhart, who I also met like through the Pulperev crowd on Twitter. And see, I don't know, like I can get what people are saying, but honestly, trying to choose whether I like the covers for the Combat Frame XSeed S series or the original Combat Frame XSeed series better, it's kind of like picking a favorite child. I think they're both perfectly suited to the task at hand. Like I really think the Todd's art captured the feel of the first series perfectly. Like especially that first cover, which I think is also the best card in the card game, by the way. And Aries is, like you said, he's knocking it out of the park in terms of the look and feel I want for S and double S, which it is different because what I want to say is kind of changed. You know, I really said what I wanted to say in the first series with the first series, and now this is a new vision in the same universe.
And switching up the art style and the look and feel really sells that. It wasn't until I saw the XSeed S cover, which you're using for your little avatar there, that I recognized you really are telling this is a new series in the same universe.
Yeah, and That's exactly my point. Thank you for calling attention to that. The reason I switched artists was I wanted the change to new series to be evident just at a glance, just from looking at the cover.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, totally different look and feel. I do also love Todd's first cover for Combat Frame XSeed. That's great, and a different look and feel though. This is what we want. We want Metatron in space with spacecraft in the background and lens flares and laser swords, and yeah, that's what you get is on the tin.
Yeah, that's the Kai Metatron, the upgrade.
The upgrade.
Yeah.
What is upgraded about him?
Another armor layer added, and the performance and weapon power upgraded even more.
Oh.
Yeah. So whereas the first one could saw a 32-mile long O'Neill cylinder in half with its arm-mounted Gatling, this one can just incinerate a space colony outright.
That seems like a valuable ability to have, I guess.
Yeah, and it's still not enough.
Darn alien invasions and their... Anyway.
Yeah, it's enough to get the Paladash Red to the top of the Nova Frontier Aces High column every week. And he does donate that bonus to charity, by the way. He doesn't keep it. Oh, looks like we lost John.
Oh, yeah. Got disconnected for a moment.
He's back.
Yeah, I really enjoyed S. I'm looking forward to this one. And you're not going to start up that Kickstarter for another couple months, right? Wait till the holiday season's over.
Probably. There is more mech action on the way for backers of the previous campaign before the next book hits, because I still owe all of you 2 original short stories.
Oh, yeah. We hit those big goals.
Yeah, so I've already started the first one. First one's going to take place in CY60. It's going to bridge the previous series and this one, kind of show what happened between them. Show the first Inzu strike on Earth. And then after that, I'm going to take it down from like the interplanetary warfare scale to the more character level or more espionage focused level, and do an F-Cell side story that takes place like the year before Exceed S.
Okay. That's actually, I'm really curious about that one. That sounds really good.
Yeah, I get to see what like Brooks and Heather and Electo got up to before they went their separate ways and adopted rare monotremes and whatnot.
Well, that's nice. I understand you're contracting the Build-A-Mechs. The Exceed S had a lot of them in there, and a lot of real estate, screen real estate is spent on them, and it was wonderful and a great experience. But I'm sure you've got other stuff you want to tell.
Yeah, because there's so much story to tell in Double S. It's planned as The Empire Strikes Back to S's A New Hope. So I've got a lot of territory to cover, and unfortunately, adding a mech is just like adding a character. Each character above and beyond the original cast that you introduce basically adds at least 10 pages to a book.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's the rule of thumb to really do it right. And I try to give people their money's worth because I still owe 2 of the backers like full screen time for 2 of the Build-A-Mechs from last time, because 2 of them only got cameos.
Yep.
So I'm already obligated to include 2 left over from last time, because I think we had like 7 before all was said and done, which was a record. And not on my limit, I can't handle that many in one book. So I'm probably gonna cut it down to 4 or 5 this time.
That's a good idea. And as always, I'll wait 2 weeks before jumping in to give other people a chance. But anyway, we're almost out of time here. DW, do you have any other questions for Brian?
I really don't.
Good, because my voice is kind of fitting.
All right, putting you on the spot one last time, Brian. What else do you want to say before we go?
You can pick up the first exciting book in the thrilling new Combat Frame XSeed series, Combat Frame XSeed-S, available right now on Amazon in both ebook and trade paperback. You can also go to Indiegogo, where I have the placeholder page for the XSeed Double S campaign, and you can sign up right now to get on the email list to find out about the campaign's launch, get in on the sweet perks we're going to have for you, and secure your copy of the book before anyone else. And you can do both of those salutary and worthwhile things right now.
Awesome. And I've got the link to your blog post in the notes, and any other links you want, send me after the show. We'll make sure they're on the notes on the YouTube show.
Well, thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you on. I've had a great time. Thanks to you, Daddy Warpig, everybody hanging out in the chat talking about Vampire and mechs, and I hope everybody listening later has enjoyed the show. But I am done for today, and I will cede the floor to the inimitable, the bombastic Daddy Warpig.
Thanks, Brian, for coming on the show to talk about the new card game, branded for Combat Frame XSeed, which I know has been a very successful series for you, and I certainly hope that the card game is as well. We don't thank everybody in the audience who has participated in the chat, and everybody who listens later. Please, you can find us at youtube.com/geekgab. That's youtube.com/geekgab. We are here just about every Saturday, just about the same time. And we highly encourage you to check us out on the Apple iTunes store, on the Google Play store, or on SoundCloud.com. As well, you can subscribe to our podcast and listen to us on the device of your choice. Folks, we are signing out for today. But don't you worry. Don't you fret. We will.